So we'll start with that. Currently, my numbers are 192 students enrolled. We've had great attendance so far. The ones who have not been there, they're all accounted for. The ones who have not been there are ones that were already quarantined outside of the school for reasons, COVID cases from outside of the school or sicknesses. So we know where all of those students are. So yes, that's what I just said. At 68 students, that's 35% of my students right now are now on quarantine.
And that was due to contact tracing or contact tracing?
It's from 2 positive cases within the school. I have 5 staff members on quarantine. That's 20% of my staff. None of those are due to the cases from today. So, it's very different because last year I did not have to quarantine 1 student because of a positive case within our school. There were several students who did have to quarantine last year, but it was because of contacts outside of the school, not within the school. So I'm very thankful. I've had lots of help from Ms. Hill and Ms. Joseph and Annie that's kind of guided me through what we needed to do today. Last year we had 173 students enrolled at the end of our school year, so our enrollment is up. We're very excited about that. We're utilizing the LLI curriculum for our Tier 3 students for reading intervention. These groups will be determined using a combination of our FSA scores plus our Ready diagnostic after the first one on September 7th. We currently have 2 grade level kits, but the district office has ordered the other 4 kits for us, so we will have kits for K through 5, and we're really excited about that. I wanted to give a very bright example of this intervention. I know you've all heard of the LLI, but I wanted to give you a real life scenario of what happened. So we had an ESE student who was a 3rd grader last year, and he started out the year on grade level 1 on iReady in reading. After 1 year of this LLI intervention, he tested as a late 3 on iReady, and he was a level 3 on FSA. He was 2 points from a 4. He was a level 5 on math, which is a lot of reading as well. So this intervention works, and we're so excited to get it going. And there were other more positive cases also. That was just one that really stood out to me.
That's daily intervention?
Yes.
Daily?
About 45 minutes in small groups of 4. And so our paras will be doing that. We're going to be also utilizing the Moving with Math intervention. That was the math intervention that was used during summer school. My 4th and 5th grade math teacher was that summer school was one of the summer school teachers, and she fell in love with this intervention. She could see how it was working, and so we've asked the district office for that as well, and we'll use that with our Tier 3 math students as well. So last year, at the end of the year, our iReady showed that in reading, our entire school, we were 75% on grade level, 21% was 1 year below grade level, 4% was 2 or more years below, and our largest area of need was phonics, and so that the LLI addresses the phonics. In math, on iReady, at the end of last year, it showed that 77% were on level, 21% were 1 year or below, and 1% was 2 or more years below. And we were seeing that number sense was the greatest need, and the Moving with Math, the intervention I just spoke about, that will address those needs. Our FSA scores, we were very, very pleased with our FSA scores, especially coming off of a very, trying year with the pandemic. Our overall ELA scores for 3rd, 4th, and 5th were 65%. Our overall math was 75%. The learning gains in ELA, which could only be our 5th graders, due to the learning gain component, they had to have a previous FSA score, was 59%. Our learning gains in math was 62%, and our science was 53%. So that created a school grade of a 63A. So we were so excited about that. So in 17-18, we became a B at 60%. The next year, we were at 57%, so we dropped a little bit, but we still held on to our B. And then that next year, we didn't have a grade, and so now we're up to a 63A. we're really excited about that. So our goals for this year, and so like I've shared with the teachers, now here's the hard part, to keep the A. So it's, we've done tremendous work, made tremendous gains to get the A, and now it's to hold on to it. So our goals for this year, we want to increase the percentages in all of our areas. We're going to do that by utilizing small group instruction. That is one of our major focuses at our school this year, is our small group instruction. Every teacher is provided a para. I've fitted into their master schedule so that every teacher has a para twice a day for 30 to 45 minutes each. So that will really give the teachers that support to work in those small groups. We want to increase our science achievement scores. We've already started at Lee Elementary, we've already started utilizing Miss Nancy Varn, the district STEM coach. And she spent Friday in all of our classrooms doing experiments, working on different things. Worms was what they were doing this week, worms. And so she's going to build and really be targeting nature of science because that was our weakest area on our FSA. Teachers will utilize the K-12 LIFT data after each diagnostic to readjust goals for each student individually. Ms. Gonzalez and I worked with them, the teachers, before school started, looking at their individual students' reports and their student welcome forms and setting goals. They've already set goals for this first part of the year for their students for individual goals. The teachers are going to use the ALD, the achievement level descriptors, and that will really help them hone in on each kid's potential. If that kid has shown over time and history that they've scored at a level 4 or the ability to score at a level 4, they're not going to teach them at a level 2 or a level 3. They're going to teach those kids at a level 4 and level 5 even. And those descriptors spell it out, what that looks like in instruction. The small group instruction will ensure that all our students' needs are met, especially pushing those higher students, because we know that those are some of the ones that are easiest to slide back a little bit. So we want to really make sure we're pushing those 4s and 5s, that they're staying at that level or even going higher. The 4s can go to 5s. And we're just going to be focusing on our student outcomes and supporting our students so that we can know that they are growing quickly enough, as K-12 is teaching us.
Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about sharing these FSA scores with the parents individually? How the child did? How, in other words, getting the parent in there and discussing the highs and the lows and the weak and the strength.
Oh, definitely. And so we have
do you do that? I'm just wondering.
We will. Mm-hmm. And so we have the student welcome forms, and those are amazing reports that K-12 LIFT is providing to us, and it really gives a historical look of each student's data. It gives them grades for the past 3 years, FSA scores if they've had them, iReady scores for the past 3 years, so we can really see, you know, if in second grade they had an off year or something, and it could be something personal that happened at home or something, you know, just an outlying score that happened. So we have those, and so those are great to use for that.
Do the parents see them?
They will, yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
How
we get those each. We're going to be getting. We just received those from K-12 LIFT. I don't know that we'll send those home. They're a little difficult, maybe, for a parent to navigate through without sitting with us to explain it.
In my opinion, sending something home doesn't mean a whole lot. I think
Right.
a lot of parents may be interested in sitting down with the teacher or somebody there. And
Right.
just getting a good explanation. If they're not interested, they're not interested.
Right, and we're hoping that the COVID will disappear, go away, at least enough that we can have some parent universities and have parents in again to teach them some of these things and the data to look for, and not just what the data says, but what can we do to help your child to increase and improve.
Thank you.
The K-12 LIFT is also nice for the kids to be able to see where they've moved, and an incentive for them to have that visual representation of where they're at and where they're going. I just wanted to congratulate you and your staff for your A, and give some accolades to, in third grade at Lee, the teacher of third grade was self-contained, Miss Williamson's daughter, Kim Gurley, and she had the highest proficient score in the district of 84 in math. And in fourth grade, math at Lee had the highest proficient score. In fifth grade, in fourth grade in reading, they had the highest proficient score. And in science for fifth grade, Lee had the highest proficient score. So you and your teachers have a lot to be proud of this year with the
Yes, sir.
scores and proficiency.
My staff, the entire staff worked extremely hard.
Yeah, and I, just one clarification with the LLI, you're saying your parapros are doing the,
They will be providing the instruction. It's a scripted program. We will have a teacher that oversees it, and then we will monitor who is in the program according to the data. But the paras will be ones that are delivering it.
That's
there
great.
may be some classrooms because, like I said, there's a group. They can only have a group of 4. Four is the ideal, and so it may be that during that small group time, there may be a para that's in that classroom working on something else, and the teacher may be providing LLI, but we're also going to be doing a pull-out LLI as well for each grade level.
it's great that we have a program that we can utilize the paraprofessionals to
Yes.
help facilitate the program and have gains of have someone come up that many levels.
Yes.
That's really impressive.
I would like to also say I'm very proud of y'all for making the A.
Thank you.
It's amazing, and I hope that the teachers and the students continue to work hard and keep that A where it's at.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. Brown. The next principal up, Ms. Amy Kendrick from Pinetta.
Everything she said. And so this year, we are currently at 133 students, which is basically where we left off at the end of last year. Christy, my right hand, and I've kind of looked at the data and looked at the students to see where they've all gone. We've had 6 students transfer to Lee Elementary just because of parents moving and all, nothing other than that. We've had 8 transfer to the Creative Arts Academy. We've had 1 transfer to Central School, and we've had 2 out of district. So us maintaining those numbers is based on us. We did get some new kids, but we've lost quite a few as well. We too love the LLI at Pinetta. We put our level 2s and our level 3s, and that's data that's based on our iReady, our FSA, and now on the K-12 Lift program that we've started looking at. We utilize our ESE teacher a little different. We also utilize her as a lot with our RTI. So she is our guru when we need to, well, we all know, of course, students and where they are leveled, but she can talk the talk as far as what lesson they're on and the leveled readers and everything. She's just an expert on it. And so she works very closely with the parapros at our school who also go in and work the team times. We do have, I've talked to Ms. Hill about getting the Moving with Math. None of my teachers taught summer school math, so we weren't aware of Moving with Math until we got the weekly update from Ms. Hill. So we're interested in looking at that for intervention for math. I have iReady data because I know that you guys have already seen the FSA data for our school, but our iReady data shows that in reading we have 78% on grade level. We have 18% 1 year below and 4% 2 or more years below. And math, we are showing that 77% are on grade level, 20% are 1 year below grade level, and 2% are 2 or more levels below grade level. Again, the way we use this information is to develop our LLI groups as well as our differentiated groups that our teachers work with on a daily basis. I went back and we did really well this year for FSA. I backed up the 2017-18 data. We were 57%, which put us at a B. The 18-19 year, we were at 52%, which dropped us to a C. This year, based on the district's figures, we're up to a 61% B, which just a little bit more, maybe we can break that A line as well. Our goals this year is to continue our team time, which is a set time that we put into our schedule to work on interventions in reading and in math. We've also done something a little different this year. Our K-12, well, the K-12 lift indicated and showed us the teachers, their strengths. And so to build on those strengths, our K-1 and 2 classes are rotating. And there's one teacher that's going to be teaching ELA. That would be Miss Ashley Tyler, very strong ELA teacher. Our math teacher is Miss Jill Page. So she will be teaching all the math in K-1 and 2. We've got Bobby Pinkard, who's going to be a phonics instructor to give more of that phonics instruction. And then we've got a new teacher this year, Miss Caitlin Joyner, who will be teaching all the science and social studies. So this year you might not see it, but in years to come, doing the looping, it's proven, it's research-based, that when a teacher knows where a student is, day one of instruction, you're going to see gains. And so that's what I'm hoping to see in the next few years. We have para support thanks to the district. They see the importance of our paras. And so we have assigned paras for K-1 teachers. We have an assigned para for our 2-3 teachers, and we have an assigned para for our 4-5 teachers. And so I leave them the flexibility to utilize those paras during the team time and the times that they need them. Like Miss Stacy Lee knows that she needs para support during her 3rd grade ELA time. So she makes sure that she gets a para in there during that time. We're hoping to start in contact Miss Barn as well, our district science or STEM person, and utilizing her in our science. Our science was a little lower than I really want to see it. And I feel like if we can hit that science and get some improvement there, then maybe that could put us over to the A next year. K-12 lift, we have been trained very little, but we're getting there. Every little time that we meet, we understand something more, but I love it. Teachers will utilize this information and data given to drive after every iReady to drive their instructions. And they need to know that it's more about pacing a student's learning. And it's more about utilizing the differentiation and pushing lower students, but not forgetting those middle students as well as those high students. I think K-12 has taught all of us that we have functioned and looked more at the lower kids, and we've not taught to the upper kids. And so that's the greatest thing about this K-12 program is, you know, it's going to ensure us that we're not just teaching to one type of student, we're teaching to all of them. And so that's all I have to offer right now. Is there
Can you
anything?
give us just a very brief thing of this K-12 lift? I know
Okay.
Miss Mandy,
Yeah.
you
Well,
hit
like
on
I
it.
said, me and Mandy, I think we've had 2 days of training, full days of 3 days of full.
We had 6.
Okay, we've had 6 full days of training. So basically what they've done is they have used iReady and the FSA, and they've based it on national percentiles so
Okay.
that we can see how our kids are performing
So
nationally,
it's
not
a way
just.
of looking at progress being made.
Right.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
yeah.
Longitudinally, like
Yeah.
over years.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
So,
It's a good way to see where they're going and what you need to do to get them to the next step.
Right. you kind of look at the whole picture and see what's
Right.
been going on and what needs to go
Right.
on, and, okay, thank you.
I wanted to congratulate Ms. Kendrick and Pinetta for fifth grade math. They were the highest proficient in the district, and that's great. And I think it's going to be great with having K1 and 2 with someone over reading math and science.
We'll see.
That's maybe back to the days of long ago out there.
Yes, Project Child Days.
Yeah.
That's how I started teaching actually years ago.
I like it because you've seen the strengths in the teacher, and so you're zeroing in on that, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see where the staff is very excited about coming back this year. And, y'all are gonna keep up the hard work.
Thank you.
Y'all gonna have a great year.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Kendrick. And Ms. Kendrick had a B. She had a B, and
Very-
we're proud of the
It was
B.
actually almost an A,
Almost an A.
yes,
Almost an A.
just a hair away.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Kendrick. The next presentation is Madison County Central. Mr. Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so coming around is just a couple pages of brief overview on things that happened last year and things that we're trying to accomplish this year. So the first thing that you'll see on the on the handout, it says placing last year in the rearview mirror. Last year, we had a plethora of things that happened to us at Central, anywhere from, classes being quarantined to teachers being quarantined. And so this year, we want to not focus so much on the disturbances in school that it caused last year, and we want to kind of focus on what we have coming up ahead in the future. Changes and challenges. Central understands that even though without COVID, we face many challenges that other schools in the districts don't face. Central also understands that it's not an excuse, and to address these challenges, we've introduced the instituted the following changes and improvements. First thing we did at the end of the year last year, as we looked at our data, is we shifted some current staff around to ensure that teachers were in the most effective area. Next thing we did is we hired veteran teachers to replace the teachers that moved on. Right now, we have 13 new teachers, a new MTSS person, 2 new MTSS people. We're currently looking for a new dean, and we're waiting for our guidance counselor to come aboard. Right now, we have access to a literacy coach, an early literacy coach that'll be working with our pre-K and kindergarten teachers. We also have access to an instructional coach that's going to help us improve our teacher efficacy. Also, we're working with DOE to improve our science in grades 3, 4, 5, and 8. We realized that in the past, that after talking to DOE, that we weren't spending enough time in science. And of course, we know science is a tested area in grades 5 and 8. And a lot of that grade 5 science comes from things that they learn in 3rd and 4th grade. So we're going to increase the time in science in grades 3 and 4. We're going to utilize USA Test Prep to ensure that the middle school is doing common assessments and exposing our kids to test type questioning throughout the year. If you turn to page number 6, we're going to utilize our reading coach to make sure that we're using reading across the curriculum. We're also going to utilize our K-12 training, as our teachers have also been trained to look at their data and how they can set new student goals for our students to make sure that they're growing as fast as they can. Just like the other schools, our 4s and 5s have lost ground because we really haven't been focusing on them, because before we learned K-12, if a student was a level 4 one year and then a level 4 the next year, in our minds, that was okay. But when you dig deeper and look at the data, the way K-12 looks at it, that level 4 can be losing ground compared to the rest of the students in their cohort. We're going to increase the use of common planning in our elementary schools to make sure the teachers also understand not just how to plan, but make sure that they're all on the same page to implement successful planning and successful lessons. We're also going to implement restorative justice. We're going to use these practices to decrease the amount of discipline disturbances that we've been having in our classrooms. Also, we have an aim to reduce the amount of suspensions and students sent to ISS. All right, if you'll turn in the middle, that should be as of 8/13. But as of Friday, we had 794 live students. We do have some students out on quarantine. So that number is actually higher. Speaking of students on quarantine, we have, they're due to come back. We had 3 staff members that were out due to COVID, teachers. We have 1 staff member that is an extended stay out. We had some cafeteria workers that are out due to COVID, but they are due to come back soon. And we do have several 7th graders and now several 5th graders that have been quarantined because of COVID. So if you look at the day-to-day, our students are changing classes, but we're using a silent rotation. So in other words, when the bell rings on the middle school side, instead of everybody changing at one time, the 6th grade changes. And then shortly after that, the 7th grade and the 8th grade changes. The teachers are overseeing this process to try to make sure we're being as socially distant as we can. But of course, we all know that in a school, to be truly socially distanced is very, very hard to do. Same thing in the cafeteria. We're utilizing some of the space that we have in the cafeteria so that there's no more than 3 people at a table and they're all facing the same way. Custodians are working as hard as they can. We are 2 people short on our custodial staff, but they're giving everything they got to make sure that the classes are being sanitized. Lunch workers, the same thing, working as fast as they can to make sure the tables are being sanitized after each lunch. And of course, our nurses, I can't say enough, they are definitely working overtime to try to ensure that we are keeping up with the contact tracing and make sure we're providing a safe atmosphere. This year in our return to school meeting with the staff members, in the past, you've heard people say you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that has been part of the excuse, is that we try to give it to the students, but they don't want to take it. So we came up with the expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink unless you put salt in his hay. So our salt has to be the motivation that our teachers are bringing, and the new ideas and the new trainings that they're using to try to make our students become more engaged in the lessons that we're presenting at Central. So we started day 1 by building relationships among the teachers with each other, and we hope that extends to the students is the plan. So relationships, we know, is the backbone of all learning, because we say it all the time that students won't learn from you if they don't like you. So we're working on relationships with students through our restorative practice. So on some mornings, we will start the mornings with circles. And in those circles will be teacher check-ins or student check-ins, where students have a chance to let a teacher know that, okay, I didn't eat breakfast this morning, or I had a fight with my stepdad this morning, I need time out. So during these circles, we will have these check-ins, and we'll find out the students that need help and send them to the appropriate person. So very simple, our school improvement goals are to improve our school proficiency score to at least a 41%. We were short of that last year. We understand that 37% is short of the goal of 41%. So our teachers have a new focus, a new vigor, and this year especially, we're focusing on grades 4, 5, and 8 because 3, 4, and 7 were our low areas last year. So we're focusing on those kids this year to try to utilize the staff that we have. Like I said, at Central, we try not to make excuses. We're going to work, we're going to push. Our faculty is pushing as hard as they can. I think we put together a pretty good staff as we replace the ones that we lost last year. They are energized, they are ready, they're accepting the challenge, and I think we're going to see some good things and some great improvements come out of Central this year. That's what happened.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Williams? Comments?
I just want to say thank you to your staff for all their hard work and their dedication to our students. And I believe that this will be a great year for MCCS.
Thank you.
How many kids that expect to come back and didn't?
That didn't come back? If we looked at the Skyward number tells us we should be around 1,000. But some of those kids are because of late starts in other schools, withdrawal requests haven't come. So, but like I said, right now, we're at 794 with some, several kids out on quarantine. That was a live body count, not a on roll count. So I think we'll be somewhere between 800 and 900.
What did we end last year at?
956 or 950 something maybe.
All your positions filled as well?
I wish. We are currently looking for a dean. We are 3 support facilitators short. I need a 6th grade teacher and several para positions that we're looking to fill. Not to mention custodial and cafeteria.
Any prospects?
Very slim. Very slim.
Under the one section, you said working with DOE to improve the science in grades 3, 4, 5, and 8. Are you working with DOE to improve the reading?
Well, we've had several. Luckily for us, the reading coach for the district is housed at our school, so we have her brain.
I would recommend that we reach out to Chris Bray with DOE. She's a phenomenal reading instructor or given in services to districts, and I don't know if she's scheduled with our district. Ms. Hill, do we have any schedulings with Ms. Chris Bray with DOE
Yes, sir, she's working
at Central?
with the whole district.
But at Central, is she going to Central?
I'm not scheduled her to go to Central.
I mean, I would.
She and Ms. Washington have been working back and forth, so.
I would like for her to go there and make recommendations because I'm very impressed with her and recently went to one of her in-services and I think that she could offer a lot. And looking at it longitudinally there, that has been the area of weakness has been reading and continues to be, and we need to do something. I mean, at some point as a district, we have to step up and do something that's going to positively impact these scores. And it's great to make gains, but you really have to look at proficiency because the data says in 3rd grade, the students who do not reach the level 3, then they're at 85% probability of not graduating, even with the not receiving a regular diploma, even with the interventions. So that's what we have to try to increase our number of students being proficient. And I would like to see her come to that school and make some recommendations of what we need to do. Any help we could get would be added help.
Well, I think with the addition of the early literacy reading coach, as we attack the problem in lower grades before it gets to 3rd grade, I think has been our issue at Central. Like I said, with the addition of that and the relocation of several teachers, stronger teachers in lower grade levels is what we did. So we're looking for that change. And like Ms. Hill said, Kara Washington is closely working with Ms. Bray. So a lot of the techniques and strategies are coming directly through.
How do you feel about the restorative practices so far, what you've seen of it? I know they're just starting to implement, or going to be starting to implement it.
It gives people a different way to look at things, rather than, not just punitively, but how to fix things rather than how to punish them. I think in the past, you have a code of conduct, and you look at a student that does something wrong, and you go to code of conduct, and immediately it's a punitive action. So we're getting to conversation with students to try to get to the bottom of the why, and instead of going directly to the outcome. And the teachers are buying into it. I think the teachers
They are.
are enjoying it. Some of them have started circles already, so.
Thank you for what you do.
I would like to recognize the EOC at Central in algebra. They had 76% who were proficient. And would that be Ms. Pinkard?
That's Mr. Raplogo.
Okay, well, that teacher had 76% proficient in algebra EOC, and that's great, and 8th grade.
Who was the teacher?
Mr. Rapogel.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the high school, Mr. Finley.
Okay, just to open up there on slide number 2 with our mission and our vision, not to read it word for word, but our goal is to provide our students with rigorous standards-based lessons and a positive, safe school climate to prepare our students to be college and/or career-ready upon graduation. The next slide is our demographic update. If you take a look in Skyward, we have 512 active students, but as of last Friday, our first period live body count was 371. So I asked our attendance clerk to run a no-show list and begin calling students to locate them. And today's count, first period, was up to 412. We're still well short of the mark of 512, but we're gonna divide and conquer and locate those families. Just a COVID update on this slide. We currently have 1 student out positive and 8 quarantined due to close contact, 1 staff member out positive, and 1 quarantined due to close contact. School grade data, the information that was given to us by the state, just some small wins. We're up in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the first 7 categories. The high school grade, there's 10 cells there. We're up from the last time we took the test in 19 in the first 7. The acceleration and graduation is from the spring of 20 on this year's school grade. And you can see what's going to carry over to next school year, the 2021 class. 65% of that graduating class graduated with an acceleration point for school grades, so they earned our industry cert or got credit for dual enrollment. In all of our teacher data chats, a big initiative of ours last year was find your 41%. You can see ELA lowest quartile learning gains, math lowest quartile learning gains, biology, and of course the acceleration and graduation, we were 41 or above in those areas. The next slide is a breakdown of our average daily attendance for this past school year. We saw an increase, although we were in the middle of a pandemic, in grades 10, 11, and 12, and then overall a slight increase from the 1920 school year. The way we address attendance at our school, we track every tardy to class. Yes, we do write a discipline referral. We've been getting this information out to our students. We're still showing grace and mercy in this area. today and one more day tomorrow. We'll start writing referrals on Wednesday. We still have a few, especially our freshmen, trying to figure out the campus. And then with schedule changes, those students are still trying to learn their way around campus to their new classes. We'll continue tracking attendance. And what we talked to our staff about this year, we used to use an attendance tracking form. They're going to go right into Skyward under the student notes section and document that parent phone call when we have 5 unexcused absences in a 30-day period. I reminded our staff that that's actually state law, that phone call has to come from the parent, from the teacher. And then with 10 unexcused in 90 days, we'll have our SIT team meeting with the parents. And then at 15 unexcused in 90 days, when we make our referral to the district, to the truancy officer. We reminded our students in our assembly style schoolwide expectation meetings, the importance of attending school and how it relates to your grades. Any student with an unexcused absence can earn 50% of the assignment grade. So the example we share with them, and they have to get it done within a 5-day period upon their return to school. So if they come back to school and they do not have a parent note or a doctor's note and they make up the assignment and they do great, they make 100 on it. If it's unexcused without that note, they can only score 50 out of 100. All right, to help motivate them to make sure they're in school, and if they're not in school, it's a valid reason. We'll continue rewarding our students with our PBS cookouts if they meet our quarterly expectations with attendance. The next slide is discipline data. From this past school year, we saw a slight decrease from the 19-20 school year with our ISS offenses and our OSS offenses. You'll see total referrals there at the bottom. We're up 470 to 602. But with this discipline plan, we're always going to be up because we're going to document every tardy. And so the referral count will be up, but we anticipate to continue seeing a decrease in ISS and OSS offenses. The next slide, you can see we have a high volume of referrals for the first 3 categories: skipping, disrespect, and the tardiness. But again, one number that we're proud of is the very, very low number of referrals in that last category of fighting and altercations. Moving on to the next slide, you're aware that we have a student code of conduct that we are to follow. We too do a modified restorative practice plan to reduce the suspension rate, but we did write into UNICIG this year to pay 2 staff members to keep kids after school. So in lieu of suspension, they'll do some work detail, or it can be academic related after school activity in lieu of suspension. I have to compliment our supervision team for really reducing the incidences on our campus, the major incidents. Every time we have a high volume transition, whether it's before school, during lunch, we have about 8 members on our supervision team, and we're always out in the hall and visible, and we get in kids' business if needed. For minor offenses, we have a process where we document the first 2. The teacher still has control of that student. They handle the incident in class with their own intervention. It could be a phone call home. It could be a conference with me. They document the first 2, and then the 3rd offense, and these are minor offenses. That's when they write a referral. And again, we'll continue with our PBS cookouts for students meeting our expectations regarding discipline. So the next slide is the schoolwide updates. These are all of our initiatives and adjustments we're making for the school year. They're listed there. The first one, the master schedule, just an update. We did take teacher recommendations for the new school year. We were able to meet with the 8th grade teachers. We had an articulation meeting in the spring with the 8th grade teachers and our department heads, and we were able to gather their recommendations for those students to help us properly place, especially those incoming freshmen, in on the honors track, or if they need to be on the regular track in our course progression plan. A lot of times, without that information, we'll get into October and November, and those kids that shouldn't be on the honors track really start to reveal themselves. So we try to get ahead of that with those teacher recommendations. We'll continue our strategic scheduling of seniors. making sure we're meeting their needs for graduation and acceleration. That's a big part of our school grade that we're relying on until we get our reading scores up. The next slide, you'll see our bell schedule. We're moving from the block schedule to the 7-period day. What's important to note with this new schedule is now our teachers are going to get 47 minutes of common planning time together. So the expectation they're to meet a minimum of once a week this month and the month of September, and then we're going to grow to 2 mandatory meetings a week once we get into October and we have some baseline data to work from. And the teachers are required to have an agenda and keep minutes and turn those minutes into me. And also myself, Dr. Pettiford, and our instructional coach are invited to these meetings. We're going school-wide with the expectation of the instructional framework that you see there. We want to see bell-to-bell instruction. We want to open up with a bell ringer. We want to see that gradual release of the lesson to our students for independent work. And we also want to close our lesson with some type of formative assessment or check for understanding. And that's across all content areas. With the exception of, and we talked to Ms. Morris, if you're out on the farm, obviously, we're not looking for this framework. You mentioned partnering with Chris Bray. She's with Just Read Florida. We got her in during pre-planning to meet with our literacy leadership team to address reading across all content areas. So we want to see basic reading comprehension strategies used across all content areas. We want to see it in social studies. We want to see them annotating the text in math. We want to see this across the board, not just in our ELA and reading classes. Avid is a new program that we're taking baby steps towards implementation. Right now, we have 4 sections with Mr. Smith. We have 2 sections with the band teacher, so they're with a sub. We have some training expectations that we're working on meeting to get the full curriculum. But what we're able to do with that Wicker strategy, and Wicker is writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. We're able to start off with the organizational piece. We ordered all the Avid binders and dividers and pencil pouches and all that stuff so Mr. Smith can get started working with the freshmen on organizational skills. And all of this is to help prepare our kids to be college bound.
Is that for 9th graders or?
Yes, it's.
And Mr. Smith is the teacher of this?
Yeah, he's our art teacher,
Yes,
but
I
he has
know.
4 sections of 9th graders for Avid.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right, and we shared the information that Ms. Hill has shared with all of us about the implementation of the best standards. Our teachers are aware of the implementation of the ELA best standards and the math best standards the following school year. Progress monitoring, you can see what we're using for reading. We're using STAR, Grade Network for writing, USA Test Prep for algebra, geometry, US history, and biology. We have our baseline assessments scheduled in mid-September. We were advised to do this by K-12 LIFT. This appears to be research-based on their part. Kids are coming back from the summer. Teachers are hammering their routines and procedures, and the focus is on expectations. And what they're saying is when we throw a baseline assessment in front of them the first 2 weeks of school, we don't always get their best effort. And the interest level of the teacher is also not there. So we're pushing this back to mid-September to hopefully get a true reading of where our kids stand with the baseline assessments. The next slide mentions our partnership with K-12 LIFT. And as everyone mentioned before, we're trying to look and make sure our kids, are they growing quick enough? All right, and that's tracked through national percentile ranks with them. Bridge is done a little differently for us this year. This past year, they were on our campus in a classroom. You're aware we have them still on our campus, but in a separate building with Ms. Jada Williams, and she has 15 of our students. We started the year with Dr. Sean Woodley, and we were able to bring him in with some ESC funding. Culturally responsive teaching, and the focus there is building relationships with our students. Okay, you'll hear us continuously talk about building relationships and getting to know your students. Peers as Partners is another initiative through our ESC department. Right now, we have 3 students signed up that are with Ms. Agner. And the idea behind the Peers as Partners, we've identified students, responsible, high-performing students, to go into classrooms, to push into classrooms, and support our ESC students. They're like paras, but it's student-led. Our return to school, our safe return to school, it's a modified plan, but we decided to continue with our one-way hallways. Kids have responded well. They're doing well with that. We, of course, encourage the mask. We're not doing temperature checks, but our students are very proactive with informing us if they have multiple symptoms. And we're using our nurse right now. It says Coach Monson, but we're using our nurse right now to do contact tracing. And we encourage our teachers, and we stay on our teachers, to keep accurate attendance, a seating chart, and class rosters to make her job a whole lot easier when she's contact tracing. We're still under DA, and the initial meeting with Dr. Heidi and Dr. Jarrett is scheduled for Wednesday, September 1st, and that's at 9 o'clock. And the way those meetings run, we have an agenda. We meet together as a team initially to discuss any concerns or ongoing initiatives in this meeting, and then we'll do classroom walkthroughs. We'll come back, we'll debrief from the classroom walkthroughs and discuss pluses and deltas from those classroom walkthroughs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Finley. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. How do you feel about the 7-period day?
I'm getting lots of great feedback from the teachers. They love it. It feels busy, and that's a good thing. That 90-minute block, it felt,
long.
I mean, this is exaggerating, but it felt like half the school was asleep half the time, but
It's a long sit.
it is.
I'd rather do it that way
Yeah.
myself, but
And for our population, we hope it's helpful with the movement. But the main reason we did it wasn't for that, it was for the common planning for teachers.
when
Now
you
they
say
have that.
common, you mean like the English teachers have the same?
Yes, ma'am. So
Yeah.
every day in their 7.5-hour day, now they have 47 minutes available in the afternoons. We, as leadership, we cover dismissal. So they're able to get right into their team meetings.
That's good. Thank you.
I'm glad to see that you've put in some type of way to monitor the common planning in that it's used for planning and not used for anything. I mean, often in the past, I mean, when we have had planning, we have the best of intentions, but sometimes they fall down and
Yeah.
you don't follow through with it, where when they do have to present minutes and
Yes.
so they will be having to stick with the common planning. The other question I had is, could there be any way, like when you meet with the DA team, that we maybe are emailed or given like any presentations you may present to
Sure.
them, to the board,
Sure.
with data or information you have
Sure.
concerning that, or anything they have to say that you think we would like to know? I appreciate you coming tonight and all the principals who came. Does
Yes.
anyone else have any questions? Okay, with that being said, Ms. Joseph, I would like for, Mr. Finley said that they do their progress monitoring starting in mid-September. The 1st of October, I would like all the results from iReady and the STAR for the board to like look at what the first round of testing is. Just see if we can, please.
So you want the, you need already results, and then you need the STAR results.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just so
You
we,
want 'em
as
raw,
ma'am,
just raw, just the data.
right.
Okay.
Just so we can see where we are as a baseline where we need to go. Do we need to add people in places to make us go there? Again, at one of the school board trainings I went to, the speaker from, I think he was from Alabama, spoke, and probably one of the best speakers I've ever heard. He said, and it stuck with me, I wrote it down, how long are you willing to wait to see results? And you know, we have the best of intentions. We say, oh, we're getting there. But if you sit down and look at much of our data longitudinally, we're staying at the same proficiency. And we've got to move forward. It's not fair to the kids who are falling in that area. It's just not fair. And we need to do what we can do to help move this forward. And if us looking at the data makes other people look at the data, then that's a good thing. I mean, I do think that as our jobs as board members, we should be looking at it. I don't know how the other board members feel, but I feel that we should.
I agree.
So I would like that the 1st of October, or as soon as you can get it. I know that the I-ready may be sooner, but we want to have the STAR also. Please.
Okay, we'll get it to you.
Thank you. Okay, again, thanks to all the principals. That concludes that. Okay, consent items agenda in 4.0 is 4.1, which is the meeting minutes from the July the 27th meeting and the August the 2nd meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. 5.0, individual considerations. 5.1, personnel changes. Mr. Killingsworth.
Good evening. Numbers are looking a little better now than the last couple times I've been up here. Between instructional and non-instructional employees, we have 11 that we're asking for your approval to be hired. We only have 3 that are under the resignation, and if you really look at that, it's the first one there got a job or has been offered a job that's basically too good to resist, so we understand that one. The second one that is on there says a resignation, but it's really not. It's kind of a readjustment, so to speak, because you can see it's moved up. It went from driving the bus, then driving the bus at the end of the day, and then doing custodial, to now we're going due to some spots, driving the bus during the middle of the day, then you can do lunch, then drive the bus, and then you're off the rest of the day. So actually, that's better for her and her family. We understand that, and that's what she preferred. And then the last one there is one that retired. We did not know that until they did a welfare check on her, and we found that out. So we said, well, we might need the letter. But anyway, that's where that is. And then there are 2 names for leave of absence. Both of those are due to some medical concerns. So the second one is one that y'all had just reappointed for this year, and due to some family issues, she requesting to be off for this year. And then we have 5 that are under substitute teachers, which part of that is helping us out with some predicaments we're in with some shortages that you may know about.
Mr.
Yes, ma'am?
Killingsworth, for requesting leave, that second name, they do not have it on there. You need to tell them that.
I am so sorry. The second name is Katrina Glover. She is housed at Central, and it is for the remainder of this school year. I apologize for that.
And Mr. Killingsworth, these individuals do realize if they're on the leave, they cannot be working somewhere else. Have we,
Well, I haven't officially spoke with the second one but that one is due to taking care of a family member, and then the other one is due to some medical issues, so that's not the case.
okay, well, we just need to make sure that they realize
Yes, sir.
that.
I'll follow up with it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the personnel matters?
I move to approve personnel matters.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Carroll. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bell. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0 on Ms. Bishop for approval.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, 5.2, parking at Madison County High School sporting events. Last board meeting, Mr. Burke came concerning parking at we came for several things, but parking at the home games was brought over to this meeting, and it says in the handouts you're just receiving that in 2018, the parking generated at the home games $12,850, while in 2019 it generated $15,925 for a total of $28,775. And with this money, they made repairs to the locker room. Weights were purchased at $3,733.50. Other repairs were made there. And also, and this isn't mentioned, but just from knowing the history, money was also given to, I think, the basketball team who took up the money. Didn't the basketball team get money, and that helps to support them? So with that being said, is there any motion to approve the $5 parking at the home games for this football season?
I'll make the motion to approve the parking.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Mr. Carroll. Is there any discussion?
I've got something to say about it. After a lot of thought, and I've been through this before with the board, I've got a problem with this. I realize there's good has come out of it, but I still go back to the fact that we're 67 out of 67 counties on our poverty level. And the money may seem small to many people, but it means something to a lot of people too. I appreciate the coaches, I appreciate the volunteers, I've already expressed this. I support the football team, I'm a sponsor for many of the athletics by donating, working at the concession stand, but I just don't feel as though I wouldn't have a good conscience knowing that we're expecting them to pay to park on school property. That's what I have to say about that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, with that being said, all those in favor, show a hand, please. Opposed? 4-1, Ms. Bishop. The parking passed. 4-1. Okay, 5.3, 5.3 is the Skyward contract. Mr. Isaac?
Hello.
Hello?
So this is our new 3-year Skyward student license agreement with Skyward. Back in June, July, the board approved our NEFAC contract, and part of that was moving Skyward to being hosted and supported through NEFAC. We were also at the end of our Skyward student contract, so this is the new contract for the student side. This contract is part of it is between NEFAC and Skyward because we're buying through them. And then there's a few places where we sign as well. So pages 1 through 12 are the license agreement and usage and product assurances between NEFAC and Skyward. Pages 13 and 14 are the end user license agreement that we sign. And then pages 15 to the end, 15, 16, 17 is the pricing breakdown and it has the dates in there and things like that.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions concerning the contract? If not, is there a motion to approve the contract? Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion? Okay. For all those in favor, show of hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of the Skyward contract. Okay, 5.4, the Insurance Committee recommendation. Thank you.
All right. As we'll go through the PowerPoint or the pages that's in front of you, we'll have the pros and cons of the insurance as we have it this year. Starting off, the first thing, the board is able to offer 3 different health plans. If the employee chooses not to take one of our plans, they can get the HIP coverage at no cost to them. And the other positive to that piece is that the anything that happens on the hip, so to speak, doesn't negatively affect our returns or costs or claims. On the negative side, right now Blue Cross is the only option we've got for this year. Okay, it's too late to go out, and our numbers are due to our claims and stuff. So that's, I mean, there's a correlation there. If we flip over to the next page, positives, the employees, as we said before, are using the medical as far as the drug coverage, using generic. So, you know, we're at like 97, 98%. So you can't complain that we're buying name brand over generic. It covers our employees with serious health issues. The board contributes $400 for the 2021 year towards the highest cost plans and $275 for the low cost. Okay. Also, the board contributes $100 a month for the retirees on their plans for up to 24 months. Negative, there's going to be a 27% increase for the 21-22 year based on our claims. The annual cost, as you were asking, for 2021 is a little over $2 million. Of that, the board has paid a little over 1.4 towards those. Go to the next page. The board's going to be able to offer a fourth option for our 21-22 school years. The HIP will remain, the same with no cost, and the retirees, of course, will still have $100 paid toward their monthly for a period of 24 months. They ask you to say 24 months as opposed to 2 years because 24 months, where 2 years may be misconstrued as 2 whole school years, which may inadvertently go a little over. Some of the negatives. The overall deductibles on all our plans are going to increase. If we have the same level of participation as that you talked about last year, the cost will be a little over $2.5 million a year. If we stay the same and stay in the same level for the 21-22 school year, the board contribution, if it remains the same, the cost will increase by a little over $91,000. If we flip over to the next page, we love to have the board, they do value their employees' health. The board will still offer health insurance options to help recruit and retain employees. Some of the cons, unfortunately, is that both the board and the employees' contribution are going to go up. The current plan that we have, if we flip over, is, remember I was telling you the board paid, or we paid 95% of the premiums. And as a result, with the claims, we ended up having to pay back, 108. So that's the negative side to that. However, I will tell you for the 21-22 school year, instead of 95, it's going to be 100%. So therefore, we won't have any of that where we have any hidden charges, so to speak. And by doing that, it drops the rate by 5%, which was originally 32, but threw it back to 27, which 27 is still high, don't misinterpret. But like I said, there will be no hidden cost with that one. Some of the employees can perceive that there's some inadequacies there because the board offers, and that's of no fault of yours, different levels contributed for different plans. And what I'm meaning there is the first 2 plans that we had, the board basically contributed $400 into that plan, where on the HSA they did $275. Okay, that's those math figures don't work out. The board does, of course, pay the entire HIP plan. That HIP plan, I explained that last week, kind of how that is, while we had some technical difficulties with the cameras. I won't go into that today. However, some proposed options that we have is that we ask that the board contribute the same amount regardless of your plan across the board. So we don't care, for lack of better words, what plan you pick. We're going to be consistent across the board. So what you pick is what you want. However, with that is going to increase contribution parts. What would happen is that the employees' increases would be reduced by 9% if you were able to do that. The board share would be, if we went up, would be 206, 345, higher than we paid this year. Now, if you stayed the same, it would be 91,000, two. No, if you, with this, it's gonna be 91,000 more. If it's where we do it equal, like we're talking about, it's just gonna be 206. So basically, it's gonna be an additional, little over 100.
When you say equal, does that mean 400 for everybody or 275 for everybody or?
Well,
Or is that to be decided?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be smart. I mean, at the end of the day, the
I know.
choice is y'all's, okay?
'Cause there's quite a bit of difference.
What this is showing, the old way was 400 for the other plans, and then there was, the HSA was 275. What we have on here is showing it at 400, and then if you could do 425, we recommend 425. You can't do 425, I understand that. If you can only do 400, we would be ecstatic. We'd be happy with that, okay? But at the end of the day, that's gonna be y'all's call. That, that 206 is with the, 425.
So that means the 425 for each person you're talking about.
That would be 200,000.
So
Yes.
It's up to 425.
Yeah.
Because the lower two plans is less than 425.
Here-
Okay, the HIP plan is 394.
Correct. If you'll flip over to this next page, I'm gonna address your question as what you're saying there. The HIP plan is 394, okay? So that's if you don't get it, it's 394.
Okay.
Now, for argument's sake, let's say you did, let's just pick 400, okay, instead of 425. If you did, say you did 400, all right, it would pay for the HIP, okay? Now, if I chose the single person on the HSA plan, it would also pay that as well. Now, if I chose for me and my wife, or me and my kids, or me and my family, of course, those numbers are gonna go up. You're only gonna pay up to 400, 425, whatever you choose. Anything above that, the employee, that's their obligation to pay that, not us or y'all as a board, excuse me.
So being clarified, what is the premium for the single health savings plan?
If I can,
369.54.
369.54?
That's for the single, that's the plan, that's the lowest plan that you can get, full coverage for a single person.
and see on that one, the single person, then instead of the 400 or 425, it would only be 369, and that's it.
But you will be able to help market and recruit new people into our organizations because we can say we provide fully paid insurance for our employees.
if you're on the single plan.
We still
Yes,
paying
ma'am.
for, yes. If you choose this plan, we have a plan available for you where we will pay 100%. And that's a big selling point, a recruiting point for new employees. And so all of our employees, if they choose, they can get fully paid insurance by the district if you choose to contribute $400 at least.
So if you flip over to this one, it's got the little, looks kind of like a circle. Insurance committee offers. We went back, looked at the numbers, found that the 108 that you're gonna have probably in February, maybe before. It's coming. That was where we talked about, I think, 50. We would have enough in that to offer towards the board to pay that. So then that would not, that wouldn't be anything you're paying. If that makes sense.
So, Ben,
That was in some incentives
Okay, then.
that we had for health fair, things of that nature. We can better utilize some of that money to offset some of the funds that, for lack of better words, we created. Not y'all, because we were only paying our insurance at 95% as opposed to 100.
I think it would be, like Ms. Joseph said, a nice selling point for us to be able to market that we do offer full
Absolutely.
coverage for single employees. If you could clarify with the board, what would be the difference if we were to do the 400 for each employee?
I was gonna try to get through this, but I will give you this.
Okay.
Because that is what you're.
Oh, I didn't realize you had more.
I was just gonna bring that to you a little later.
You were out there shaking hands and I thought it was over.
Okay.
So you can see, for argument's sake, you can see let's go to 5781. It's kind of in a tannish color. It says high plan at the very top of it.
Uh-huh.
You'll be able to see usually the third line of each of those brackets, the total cost. Usually the one right above it is the board contribution, and then you will see above that line what the employee will pay. And that is probably the richest plan, if that's how you want to look at it, and the most expensive. Where the middle of the road is basically that first plan with some higher deductibles. And then your lower cost plan, which is the two you see in blue to your far right, that is the plan we're talking about for the individual that you could offer to your employees at no charge. Also remember, if the employee's spouse, if they choose to go with the spouse's insurance and choose not to have the school insurance, if we want to call it that way, they get the HIP plan that would also be free. So you could get the free, HIP or the 5196 free, and it wouldn't count against our claims, but they still could use it to help them pacify some of the cost savings for them as a family. And you can see if you contribute 400, what it would be. Well, that was an old way, but then the new one is 369 on the 5196 plan. And then you can see the cost of the employee would be none for that particular plan. Now it jumps over to the right-hand side when you start dealing with, spouse, children, a whole family.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? I'm sure there's a lot of questions.
I don't know if this is a good question, but you said that we would offer the board $108,000 from our healthcare incentives funding.
Yes,
So
ma'am?
that means that would be, that be $206,345?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, that,
$8,000,
minus that?
That has nothing to do
That
with
has
this.
nothing to
okay.
do with that. That's the bill that we've come in. Remember last year, around November, we got this
Right.
bill.
Oh, that's,
Okay, that's the bill. They said we're gonna get that again this year. Okay, we've got a, gift card, it's not a pro share, it's an incentive account with $134,000 in it.
Okay.
And they're offering $108,000 to pay for that because we pay our insurance premium right now. We're only paying 95% of our insurance premium. And that $108,000 represent that 5%.
okay, thank you.
But with this new plan, we won't have that.
Okay, with the
No,
new
sir.
plan, they're proposing that we pay 100% of the premium rather than that.
Yeah, and those rates are us already saying no 95%, because that puts y'all in a bad spot, that we pay 100, so then it puts it back on the employee. Now, what will happen, or could happen, you will not get oh, by the way, you owe me another 108, you won't get that. But if our rates were way down, then they still could give you some back.
Okay, that's good.
But I wouldn't bet the farm on it.
No.
But I mean, with this plan, if you approve what we were talking about, that would allow two plans that you as a board could offer to your employees that say, hey, I got two plans that will cost you nothing on health coverage. And I'm telling you, it was nice to bring, that's the wrong sheet. It was nice to bring to you today the recommendation sheet with more people we're hiring than leaving. And I have 3 that I'm working on tomorrow. Actually, while I was in here, I got a text from one wanting to see me tomorrow. So I'll have some more for you next board meeting. But these type things, if we're able to do that, that will help keep people here and get them to come here. Because some of the ones we just hired, that was some of the main things they were asking. So insurance is, it's a problem everywhere you go, unfortunately.
I had a question concerning if, like, initially they had said the 425 for the
Yeah.
higher plan and the 275 for the lower, did the 275 go up any, or was it just the
That
425?
That really had nothing to do with the plan. If you want to,
So-
that had to do with them offsetting. That was not,
It's
those
offsetting
numbers
the
are
higher
indicative to
premium.
what goes on with the plans.
Okay,
It is more about, if I choose Plan A, you're paying $400 towards my health insurance, and if I choose Plan C, you're only paying $275. Where's the
Equity.
Right.
there
It's not.
between employees? And we're trying to get that balance. And if we're able to, I'd love for you to do 425, don't misinterpret, okay?
I don't
But
think we can do that.
I didn't either. But if you could, it doesn't hurt to try. If you could do the 400, it still allows you to give to the teachers and employees, hey, I at least have one free option, or two
Right.
free options, for any employee that works for us. That is starting to be a bigger
And-
concern than other stuff.
And in looking at the difference, like money-wise, the 45 employees that we have on the lower plan that would go up to the $400, that would come to 216,000. So if you add the plan, the old plan together, the 765, and that together, it comes to 936. So it's about a $67,000 increase versus what it was from the old plan and the 275. So again, I don't know that we're going to find anything any better. I mean, it's still $67,000, but.
Correct.
But we're offering, like you said, all employees $400 or offering them insurance.
And that's a benefit that y'all give our employees.
Right, that's the benefit that we're giving all employees, not just the highest.
Correct. It's equal across the board,
Right.
regardless of what your status is or job, whatever.
How do the other board members feel about this?
I think it's important that we offer our employees the best, because it's hard enough to get them as it is. And, you know, something like this could help us to get and maybe maintain and keep employees.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good incentive and giving everyone an equal amount. I agree.
Well, it's being fair and equitable across, not just based upon what plan you choose. I mean, you're going to get basically $400 if you choose the most expensive plan.
And for those that do the HIP and the 5196, you actually will save a few dollars because it'll be under the 400.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's not a whole lot, don't misinterpret, but
The
that's a dollar in
the
your
district
pocket,
will
not some-
save.
Absolutely,
The
that's what I'm
district will
saying.
save.
When you say HIP, that's hospital indemnity plan.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that? I
Yes,
mean,
ma'am.
How does it work? Is it,
Right now, there's 117 that are in that particular thing. That's the one basically saying, my spouse has
right.
insurance somewhere else and we choose to go with that.
They do not use our insurance as their primary
Yeah.
insurance.
Right, I knew there would be quite a few like that, I would imagine.
But I would not be surprised if you offer this to where they're able to pay completely for an individual or an employee, that we won't see more people coming over to the 5196.
Yeah.
Yes, the deductibles may be a little higher, but you're not paying the monthly payment to have the insurance. So, you know, there's a balancing game there, and I think
Well,
that will be beneficial.
If you look at it this way, the difference, yeah, it is costing us $67,000, but with us no longer having to pay, with us being 100% in it now and not the 95%, we're saving the $108,000 a year that we've been having to pay for the last 2 years of Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So actually, we would be saving probably around $40,000 by doing this. I mean,
Correct.
if you look at it that way. But I do think we need to do something for all the employees. It's not, especially if you think about like your employees who are on the lower end of the pay.
Yes, sir.
If you're saying that they have to purchase a plan that's probably more than their check, I don't know that that's an incentive to purchase it and for them to get the $400. And it's almost like we were giving benefits to some and not others.
Yep.
Well, this would drastically help, for argument's sake, to help me find some bus drivers.
Oh,
For
yeah.
one, because, you know, some bus drivers are hard to find anyway because it's a unique blend because of the time of days when you need to drive. So they often use this to help offset some other stuff. And if this will allow them to have free insurance, I mean, that's a blessing.
That's
Right.
an incentive right
So
there.
they would greatly, as well as any other ones, I will.
Well,
I mean, of course, I'm.
probably
I'm a family, but-
parapros and teachers also. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you're single.
Cafeteria.
Okay, with that being said, so the insurance committee this was one of their recommendations and they're in agreeance with this, or?
This is the insurance recommendation, but the last line says 425, and you've been talking about, this is what they want you to vote on, because right now, believe it or not, this is the week for us to do open enrollment.
Okay,
And she's
They
got
need to
the,
decide.
we need to decide. On this sheet, it talks about the different plans that's being offered. It talks about the $108,000. It talks about increased contribution to the hospital indemnity plan. And It talks about board contributed 425, but what I'm hearing from you, is 400. But if you would vote on this, that would cover everything.
Right. No, I personally don't know that we could go up to 425 and be able to afford it. Just, I mean, that's my opinion, but the 400 would allow all employees to have insurance on our behalf.
I think they would, that's very appreciative.
Is there any more discussion before we bring it to a vote? No more? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the board contribution for all employees, $400 a month for their monthly insurance?
I move to approve for the board to contribute $400 per employee for the monthly insurance premium.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion?
I think it says, should say up to, because two
Oh.
plans does not require
Okay.
400.
With,
So with that being said, Ms. Gibson, would you like to?
I'd like to, I move to approve the board to contribute up to $400 per employee for monthly insurance, for a monthly insurance premium.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Carroll. Is there any discussion? Okay, if there's no discussion, all those in favor, show a hand, please. Opposed? 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for
Thank you.
approval for the.
We need to vote on the other part of this, because we have not
Okay.
chosen a plan.
Okay,
They did not vote on the first part of this. They only voted on the.
I thought we voted on that last time.
No, we did not vote
We
on it
didn't vote?
last time. They did not vote on this right here, on the plans. We table all of that.
It would be all free, it would be all.
They did not vote on it. We didn't vote on it.
Okay,
You vote to accept those three plans.
The three
Just accept this, excluding the last one, because you've already accepted the last one.
okay. Okay. Is there a motion to offer the low-cost option, HAS Plan 5196 and 5197, to offer the two traditional plans, 5781 and Plan 5907?
I make the motion to approve all four plans.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. The hospital indemnity plan, do we need to do that also? Mr. Snickner, do you think?
Isn't that part of the plan?
It's part of the plan, but you said to contribute up to $400 per plan.
Okay.
So that's covered.
Okay, so that's covered.
But we have not specifically voted on a specific plan, and so that's what, because we're changing plans.
Okay. So that's all with the insurance. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth. Okay, let me see where we're at. Here we are, okay. 5.5 is our differentiated pay policy. At this time, I'm opening it for public hearing. Okay, the public hearing's being closed. Is there a motion to accept the differentiated pay policy?
I move to accept the differentiated pay policy.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of the differentiated pay policy. There is no financial report tonight. Okay, 5.7, the Allied Instructional Service. That is for ESE services here in the district, supplemental services provided to ESE through different professionals. Is there a motion to approve the Allied Instructional Services?
I'll make the motion to approve the Allied Instructional Services.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Okay. Okay, 5.8 is the out-of-district field trips we have with FFA. The first one is August the 28th through the 29th, and, oh, I'm sorry, we hadn't voted on that. Did we vote on Allied Instruction?
No, we got a
No.
motion and a second, but we didn't vote.
Okay, sorry about that. We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. 5.8 is the out-of-district field trip by the Future Farmers of America at the high school, Ms. Kaylee Jenkins. Their first trip is August the 28th through the 29th. It's in Orlando, Florida. 3 students are going, 1 chaperone. It's the chapter president conference. Their next trip is October the 7th through the 8th. October the 7th, 8 people are going. It's in High Springs. It's the officers' training. October the 14th, 4 people are attending Lake City to the forest competition or training. October the 26th through the 31st, 7 students are traveling to Indianapolis, Indiana for their national meeting. November the 8th in Perry, it's forestry competition. 4 people are attending. And December the 14th, 8 students are attending Branford to a competition. That's all for the FFA at the high school. Is there a motion to approve their out-of-district travel for up until the first semester?
I move to approve the out-of-district field trips up until December.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bell. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. Okay, 5.9, Hospital Homebound. This is for teachers to instruct students who are on Hospital Homebound based upon their doctor's written reason and excuse to be on homebound. Is there a motion to accept the Hospital Homebound instructors?
I move to accept the homebound instructors.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Carroll. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bell. All those in, is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of the Hospital Homebound instructors. 5.10 is our district safety plan through Facet. This is a confidential plan, so is there a motion to approve the district safety plan?
I move to approve this district.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Carroll, seconded by Ms. Bell. Is there any discussion? All board members, just for the public, had an opportunity to go meet with our person over this, and we were, the plan was gone over with us, but this is a confidential plan. So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, show a hand for approval. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. Thank you. Okay, 5.11, teacher contracts.
Okay, what we're doing, we had to be creative in some of our staffing, and we've got a couple part-time teachers, part-time during the day, and part-time until we find someone competent. Someone has agreed to fill in, and we felt that, we could better use them if we did a contract with them. And we have discussed this with the teacher, the prospective teacher, and the principals that's in charge of that school. And one of them is a band teacher. You know, we were having trouble finding a band teacher. We found someone to fill in for the band classes, and he only wants to teach the band classes until we find someone else. So rather than tie him into a teacher contract, we'll just pay him a flat rate and we'll contract with them. Green Bay Elementary is basically in the same position. The person we have to serve their students with disabilities. The person that we had for that resigned at the last minute, and we have not been able to fill that position. And so we found someone that will come in part-time, 3 days a week for no more than 4 hours a day to fill that position until we found someone.
So these are just part-time people filling
These are
in.
part-time filling in until we find someone to hire in those positions.
I just appreciate that they're willing to step in and do this.
We've got someone specifically for the band. We do not have anyone specifically for the support facilitation, but we almost have someone. So keep your fingers crossed. That will work out.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the contracts?
I'll make the motion to approve the service contract.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion? I think this is great that we're able to do this, to allow the high school to have a band teacher there, to going into football season, to try to be as normal as we can with having the activities continue. And for Greenville, it's actually probably the most cost-effective way to, due to their low numbers, to stay within their operating budget. So it's that's really good. With that being said, all those in favor for the teacher contracts, show your hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. Okay, 5.12 supplements.
Okay, Mr. Chair, this is the supplements the specific supplements have been approved by the union, and we are to fill the names in. And I have the names listed that's been approved. I need to make one adjustment. For the video, I need to add Justin Burke's name for the high school. And we have the supplement list for the central school. So all of these have all their credentials and documentation correct. And so if you see their name on here, they've got their active certificate, they've got the first aid training and all that good stuff.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the supplements? Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion? One thing nice, Ms. Joseph, in our agenda review, she added that all people doing like for extra curricular, if they don't work for us, because we have a lot of instructors or coaches that are not within the school board, that they're filling out a cover sheet that gives name, address, a way for us to get in touch with them, other information, CPR certified, that type. And it is good to have in case you never know when she would need to get in touch with a coach and not be able to and have that information. So that's good that we're moving ahead. Okay, with that being said, do we take a vote on that? No. Okay, my memory's, it's getting later in the evening here. Okay, all those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. Okay, I think that's all of the individual for consideration. Other items of interest to the board, superintendent items.
Superintendent, at your place of, seating place, I gave you, place a live body count. And Tuesday and Wednesday, you see some low numbers, and that's because we have a delayed start. We know COVID is for real, okay? And we are keeping the outside attendance in our buildings to a minimum. But we also sympathize with parents. They like kindergartens and first grade, they want to walk them to the class the first day of school. The new kids, like ninth graders, that's the first year at that school, they need to get acclimated. And so to keep down the crowd and let them feel free to roam because you have a larger number, we have a delayed start. And so on that first 2 days, only your first grade, kindergarten, first grade came. And the sixth graders come because that's the first year that they are together as a grade level, and your ninth graders. And so that's why your numbers are so low on Tuesday and Wednesday. And the other days are your Thursday and Friday. That's the entire student body that's shown. Next thing I need to tell you about, you may have gotten a call today that we have dismissed school tomorrow because of flooding. Just work with us. It's raining out there. We have a lot of dirt roads. We got a lot of the kids are just coming to school, and so we need to do what we can to be able to function as a school system. We do have a lot of COVID cases around, but we're dealing with that, okay? And we are following the rules. And that's all I have to say, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything to say?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, Mr. Carroll.
All I have to say is I appreciate all the principals coming out tonight and doing their presentation, and I appreciate their hard work and their staff, and looking for a great year.
Okay, Ms. Bell.
I want to thank the principals for coming out and sharing their plans for the 2021-22 school year. I'm just looking forward to a great year.
Ms. Gibson.
Yeah, I appreciate all the principals as well. I'd like to thank Mr. Killingsworth for all the work you've done with the insurance committee, and you are appreciated. And I'd like to thank all of our employees. Everyone is valued, no matter what your job is. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Williamson.
Yes, I'd like to thank that Mr. Killingsworth for looking at all that insurance stuff. You could tell that was many hours of work by the insurance committee and Mr. Killingsworth. And I would like to welcome everybody back, all of our teachers and staff and all the students. And I hope we have a wonderful year and that COVID will treat us kind.
I too would like to thank Mr. Killingsworth for all the work and all the people on that committee. I mean, that's a committee that it's not a nice committee. I mean, it's always bad news you get, but I appreciate all the people who are on it who have put all the work into trying to get the best rate. I would like to welcome back all the employees for this school year and wish everyone the best and a great year and health. I appreciate all the principals coming tonight, and again, as a district, we have got to focus on moving kids up academically and proficient-wise. Learning gains are great, but to date, a student cannot get a high school diploma from learning gains. They have to get it from being proficient on the FSA, unfortunately, and that's what we need to really focus on. With that said, Ms. Joseph, I would really like if you could possibly see if Ms. Bray with Just Read Florida could come to Central and Greenville, since those are our two lowest reading score-wise schools in the district, and make recommendations. I know we have a reading coach here, but it's always good to have other eyes in the building, and we're starting a new reading series that I don't even know that's come in yet.
No, it's not,
And,
but it was
and,
ordered in time.
and again, I'm working in a district with that series, and it's a very complicated series. And we just need to make sure that teachers are teaching it with fidelity where students have the gains. And that's the piece I think that she can bring to the puzzle with walkthroughs and just being in the school, seeing what's going on. And I think that Greenville and Central would be the two schools in the district to benefit from it based on their scores. The others are doing it. I mean, the others are doing a good job. We have a lot to be proud of, but those two schools have got to come up in the score. And I'm not saying something new to you because you know that. You were the principal at one. And you know the history but we have to, or I'm afraid that we'll wind up on the list with DA, and we don't want that. So we need to be proactive, not reactive with it. And that's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Bell, seconded by Ms. Williamson. All those in favor, show a hand. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval to adjourn.